Morning, y'all. We're out at a new body of water today, and I haven't been here in probably a year or so. Water conditions are really not ideal, which is why I haven't come here in a while. It's super low, as you can see, like some of that brush and wood that's usually underwater on the bank. Some of the stuff I like to fish is out of the water at the moment. It's also really muddy, so not the best conditions, but figured I'd give it a try something new. And it has some good potential. It can be a really tough lake to fish, but there is some big fish in here. I've had some solid days. Just the population isn't as healthy as some of the other lakes in the area, but the potential for a big bite is definitely there. So that's the plan today. Hopefully we can stumble into a few good ones. There's largemouth and spotted bass in here, so maybe we'll get on some spots today. That would be cool. Those can be really fun. Start out the morning, I'm checking out this little creek arm. There's not a ton of features on this lake. There's some points, some rocky points, and a couple creek arms, some pockets, small pockets and stuff like that. But not a ton of obvious stuff for the bass to get on. So sometimes it can be something super minuscule that these fish will hold on. So this little creek, it's a little shallow creek. Most of the banks are pretty muddy, but you'll find some rock scattered here and there. So it's kind of helpful that it's low. You can see the areas on the bank where there's rock, and then that rock follows its way down into the water. So you can kind of know some of those key areas where that bottom might be a little harder than in those other spots. And that's generally where those fish are going to want to be. It's a good tip for if you have lakes that the water drops, rises and falls a lot. When it's low, make sure you're paying attention to the stuff that's on the bank and just taking note of those structures and areas where there's rock piles and laydowns and stuff that you can't see when the water's high. And you can mark that stuff or just keep a mental note, and then when the water comes up, fish will hold on that stuff. So it's good to just take advantage of the situation. So right here you can see there's this little edge, this little drop off, and it's got some chunk rock on it, and this is like way out off the bank. So I'm sure if I wasn't graphing, I would not know that was there when the water's high. But that's definitely something that you can come back and crank, or throw a jig or shaky head or something like that. So I'm definitely taking note of that, and kind of following this creek channel also. So you got the creek channel swing, you got a drop off, you got some rock. Definitely potential for a good spot in the future. When you clip your tag ends, always make sure you keep that, throw it away when you get off the water. It's just too easy to be lazy and just chuck it in the water, but we want to preserve the fisheries, we want to keep the environment clean, and leave the lake better than you found it. So I always take my tag-ins with me, try to do my best to just keep my spots clean, you know. I hate when I pull up to a spot and there's just trash. Oh, there's just trash and line and bait packaging. It's just like embarrassing for the fishing community. If we enjoy this sport so much, we should take care of these places and make sure they're clean and healthy for, you know, the next generations to come. Cool guy. Nothing to brag about, but the skunk is off the boat. Thank you. Little rocky bank with a laydown on it. Throwing the Squarebill. 6 cents. Fresh 50. I forgot to mention in all my other videos, all the baits will be linked in the description, so if you're curious about what I'm using, definitely check the description. I'll have all the links for the websites where you can buy the baits. I'll have the color that I'm throwing and all that good stuff. I'm trying to start including pictures of the baits in the video as well, just so y'all have a better idea of what I'm using at the time. But yeah, right now I'm just trying to cover some water. In the fall, it's really important to just be moving until you find a fish, because they're on the move also. They're searching around for food, starting to feed up for the winter time. And so if you're not around fish, you're really wasting your time. Oh, there's another one. Now we found a few, so once you find them, you can slow down if you want, or just keep covering water with your moving baits. And really find those areas where those bass are holding. Yeah, any of your moving baits are good. Squarebill, spinnerbait, chatterbait, just a single swim bait, a topwater also if they're feeding on top, can be a really good option. Just something that you can move down the bank with, cover water. You might not always catch the fish on them. You might get hit, you might get followed, but it'll show you where those fish are. You might spook some bait, but it'll just help you move around and get indications of where the fish are, because you can spend a lot of time in dead water where there's really just nothing, and that That's the worst. And then you're scratching your head like wondering if there's even fish in the lake. So fish on the jerkbait. Small largemouth. Little rocky point sticks out into the lake. That fish is just sitting on top of it. This wind is kind of creating some current, so points can be good in those type of situations. The wind will kind of push the water up and over that point, pushing bait and stuff like that. So the bass will usually sit on one side of the point and just kind of wait for stuff to come over the point, and then they'll just feed on it like that. Sometimes it'll be a school of fish, sometimes it'll be one big fish. This seems like it's a school of fish, and unfortunately they're very small. That's the third cast in a row. See, maybe there's a keeper mixed in there. You never know.
Tiny, jeez, like the size of my jerkbait.
Good, they're feeding at least. So hopefully if we find a school of good ones, they'll eat. I think we're just not around any big fish right now. But the day's just starting. I'm okay with just getting some action, getting some clues as to what they're doing, and then as the day goes on, hopefully we can piece something together and figure out how to catch a bigger fish.
Another little guy.
Wacky rig bass. Man, these guys are not getting bigger. Slightly better fish.
little bit better.
Same sort of thing. But another rocky point, main lake. So I feel like these fish are just set up, waiting for some bait to come over the points. So we might just be point hopping today, just kind of a few fish here, a few fish there. Hope we run into some good ones. Oh, that's a nice one. Well, not really, but biggest one of the day. All right, we're getting somewhere slowly. Still all largemouth. It's very surprising. Because as far as I know, the spotted bass population is a lot healthier than the largemouth here. But today it's been all largemouth. It's a long guy. He needs a little food, but thank you. Little guy. Once the sun gets higher, I might try throwing a glide bait over some of these same points and just see if there's a hungry big girl sitting on top of one of these points. Sometimes these smaller baits just aren't appealing enough to get them to move. Or oh, there's a fish. There's a spotted bass. Look at that. Of course. Just healthy. Not surprised. The spotted bass is the fattest fish of the day. They're just eating machines. They just roam around and feed on shad and crawfish and anything they can find. So this guy's got some sharp teeth too. Cool. It seems like they're really sitting on these flatter points better than the steeper ones. These flat points with some chunk rock on it, they'll just stick out further into the lake, and those fish can just sit on top of that and feed. And then if they want to drop off in the deeper water later in the day, they can do that. Tie on a dark sleeper. See if there's any better quality fish sitting on the bottom. And I'm also going to try and throw that glide bait over the top. Because it seemed like there was a bunch of fish stacked up there, so before I move on, I just want to milk it for all it's worth. No point in leaving fish to find fish, so I'm sure there's more there if I caught that many. if we can finally get one on this Chad Shad. Some of these trees back here actually have some good depth on them, so I'm trying to pick around the Chad Shad and in between the branches and see if I can get one to come out, smoke it. That would be sweet. Like nice and shaded too, so they've got a lot of cover to just come out and ambush a big meal. Just wish the water was a little cleaner. They might be just able to see that bait from further away. Come and get it, but it's all good. Hey y'all, so through the rest of the day, there was a lot of wind, and so I'm just gonna edit in some music in the background, and then there will be a couple clips of me talking, but for the most part it's just gonna be music just to cancel out some of that wind noise. Another small fish. Story of the day. literally the same fish I caught earlier. It has this little sore on the outside of his mouth. And I swear, the one I caught earlier had that same thing. I don't know. I'll have to watch the footage back. But that's crazy. Up here too. This went right across the lake. And the wind's pushing into this spot, this little hump that's usually underwater. Decent. On the deep crank. Didn't even get to the bottom. That's supposed to catch big ones, not small ones. Just how we started. I think we're gonna end it on that guy. They never really grew today, but hella fun jerkbait bite. Caught a ton of fish. Found some schools. So not really much to complain about.